Hello, my name is jahg and welcome to a slight update video with reference to the jahg Teaches Java videos that I did some time ago, some huge time ago, that have actually become the most popular videos on my channel, darn it. Why not watch me play the game? But no, you want to see me fumble with code. So this is a slight update to that video. That I'm just rushing out because I was asked a question about it. So hello. So basically, you need a Java environment of some sort. So NetBeans is the one I use because why not? And you can get that from netbeans.org. The install instructions are right there on the page. Make sure you include the one that's got the JDK, and then you won't need any extra bits. JDK is the Java Development Kit, of course, which will allow you to create new projects, which is what we're going to do in a minute. Now, before we can do that, before we can create projects which are going to be plugins for Minecraft, essentially Bukkit plugins of old, the Bukkit project itself has moved to Spigot now. You don't want to actually... Well, it's not that you don't want to. You don't have to develop for Spigot. You can still develop pure Bukkit plugins, which is what I do. You basically go to the homepage of Spigot, as I have here, and there's this talk of Spigot and Craft Bukkit for 1.9.2 in this case, and it talks about these build tools, which is absolutely right. You need these build tools in order to get the bits and bobs of Bukkit. So there's an announcement here that talks about it. It's quite a lengthy bit of nonsense that basically tells you to go to this place and grab the build tools essentially from their Jenkins system somewhere. Build tools, there it is, and you grab the latest one from right here and you put it in a place. I'll keep that, thank you. You put it in a place and you basically need that in a folder somewhere. Just dump it in a folder that's got nothing else in it to start with. So there's that. It also talks about an additional tool which is basically Git for Windows, which if you go to that location and download this and install it, you get a special command prompt window. You need those in order to build the Bukkit API essentially. So for instance, here is a window that I've done it in. So there's the build tools. In order to run it, once you've installed the Git for Windows, you get this menu item on a right click of the inside the folder somewhere, you see. Git bash here, and it gives you a little special command window, which is marvelous, and you run that command right there, java space -jar space buildtools.jar, and I've made sure that it's doing the latest revision. You basically build that, and you'll get several things. You'll get this craft bucket right here, which is actually the server itself. That's the one you run and put your plugins against, and I'll put that in a place and run it momentarily. And it also, inside the Bukkit folder, inside the target folder, buried away is this file, or similar, not the shaded one, you want this normal one. So Bukkit 1.9.2, release 0.1, snapshot. That's the API, the definition of what a Bukkit server has available for you to use in your plugins. And this file becomes very important. So I'm going to copy a path to that because I'll need it. So okay, so once you've got this, it does take a while to run the bash tools, so don't be alarmed if that takes a while. So once you have this, you're then ready to create your plugin or build it and run it against it. So if I very quickly create a new project, it's a default Java application, that's all you need. I'm going to call it Quick Creative because that's what I did before. And I don't need, by default it might have this box here ticked for creating a main class. We don't need that because we're going to do that ourselves. So click finish on that. You get an empty folder full of nothing. That's where your source files are going. This is what libraries, APIs, it has available to you, or it makes available to you. So immediately I'm going to add a jar file, which that's the folder that we were in, where we've got the Bukkit API, the snapshot, not the craft Bukkit thing. That's the server itself. You want to make sure that's selected, and I open that, and it adds that to your project. It's not, you don't need to copy it to your server, none of that's needed. You just need it available so that it knows what to build. Then you're into source packages here, and you want to create a new Java class. In this case, we're going to give it the same name as the project, Quick Creative, because that's the file I want to create basically, and the package it's going in is com.jahg.quickcreative. Now this should be something specific to you. Don't put Spigot there, put or Bukkit, anything like that. Don't put Google there. None of that specific to you. So something that's specific to you. It just guarantees a sort of uniqueness, essentially. So that'll do me. And click Finish. There's our source code template it gives you by default. I'm simply going to paste in all the code that I had in my very first video, which is to create this quick creative plugin. And if I save this immediately and build it, now it's not a proper plugin yet, but I just build it, we're going to get one warning. It's not an error. Even though it's in red, it still built it. It still said successful. So we actually have a Java plugin here, almost. Now, the reason it's moaning is because 1.9, well, not necessarily 1.9, but the Bukkit has updated significantly in recent years, such as that this underlined part here is no longer the recommended way of getting or comparing the game mode that someone's in. So instead, it's actually slightly shorter now. Instead, we can get rid of this part and just check for whether it's survival directly. Now, if you want the details of the rest of this code, it's all in the previous videos, so you can check back with that. So that's the first bit. That should actually get rid of, if I clean and build project, that'll do. You see, we no longer have the warning, right? It's still successful. We've still got a quick creative jar. So far so good. The last thing we need to do to make this a plugin is to create a new file, a basic generic file, which you'll find under the other section, and it's YAML file right there. Once you've added one, it should appear, I think, on the menu. I don't know if this is always here, but there it is, YAML file. It's got to be called plugin. Don't put .yml there, because it's going to do that for you here. Make sure that it's in the source folder, src folder here, because otherwise it won't find it when it or when it tries to run the plugin. And click Finish. It gives you some template stuff, which I'm just going to copy and paste in the code I gave in the second video, or third, I can't remember. It's in there somewhere. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Just save it, and why not clean and rebuild? It's still a valid project. So now in this folder here, we've got our plugin essentially. So I'm just going to grab this folder here. And I don't know if I've already got one of these open. Yes, I have. So right here, this is my NetBeans project folder. There it is. Inside the distribution folder, you'll find quickcreative.jar, or whatever your plugin's called. That's the project name rather than the text file name that we added when we did the Java file here. So we have our plugin. It's tiny. It's got a lib folder. You don't need to worry about that. That doesn't need to go up to your server, just this one file. So now let's actually figure out how to create a server. So for testing purposes, local testing. So here's a folder on my desktop called Bump. Why not? Here is the Bukkit API that we wanted. We don't need that, but if we just go up to the Spigot folder, one of the things that buildtools.jar builds is the Craft Bukkit server itself. So I'm going to grab this one. There's the other two versions I've got here are for 1.88 and just for 1.9, plain 1.9. So I'm going to copy the 1.9.2 into this Bump folder. And then I'm going to get a command window. Here it is. There we go. A command window that's in this folder. And basically at this point we can just we can run that server just to create the basic files we need. And I'm going to do that first, just as the quick, just to do some quick setup. So Java -space jar, because I'm running a jar file, and then craft bucket 1. Whatever jar, and that will rumble away for a while. And it generates a couple of logs and then exits, because there's this there's this license agreement, and you have to change true to false. You only need to do it once. There we go. And then go back to our thing here and rerun it, and it'll do a few more things. It'll spew up a couple of errors. Don't worry about that. It's just because there's missing files by default, because it hadn't actually created any of these. So things like the whitelist, which is here, failed to load whitelist, which is reasonable because it's a new server essentially that I'm creating here just for testing purposes. It'll then rumble away doing this, and now I have a server. If I stop it, then we can clear the screen, eventually, which I missed. There we go. Clear the screen so we can see what we're up to. So now I've got a server. You see I've got a plugins folder here, nothing in it. So I'm going to go to my, where was it? Here, my quick creative. I'm going to copy that file and I'm going to dump it in my plugins folder. There it is. So then if I just go back up, so now we've got a plugins folder here with this in it, which is marvelous. If I then rerun my server, which is there, loading libraries, whatever, and there we go. You can see already that it's actually running here. Look at this, and it's found Quick Creative, enabling Quick Creative 0.1, which is my plugin that I've popped in there. So no errors, there's no errors, no warnings, no nothing. I should be able to actually try this out immediately. If you remember, this plugin, all it did was it allowed us to log in. Well, that's part of the server, that's not the plugin. Ooh, lovely. Spruce. And you can see we're in survival at the moment, but if I do /qc, which is my plugins command, it switches me to creative, and I'm not even an op. Well, you're not able to put a plugin on a server without being op, so there's no problem there. And /qc again, and it works perfectly. We're back in survival, which is marvelous. I'm sure you'll agree, and no errors at all in here. So that's basically it. It's just a slightly more intensive way of getting the Bukkit API that causes the problems. You know, you've got to run the build tools to get all this other bits and bobs. So that's it for now. Don't forget it's in the Bukkit folder, then it's the target, and then it's right here. That's the Bukkit API. So at this point, thank you very much for watching. And can you expect more of these? Yes, you can. See you later. Bye.